What's going on, guys? Luke22SV here, and we're here for the 12th round of Season 2 for the Mick Schumacher career mode. And we're here for the Hungarian Grand Prix this weekend. As you can see, it looks like it's going to be a wet race as well. So it's going to be a difficult weekend for us, and we've also had some failed upgrades, some chassis upgrades which would really help around this track. And now we're currently the 5th best team again. So Mercedes managed to jump back in front of us, as Red Bull have managed to jump back in front of Ferrari. As the top three with Renault, Ferrari and Red Bull looking really close. Daniel Ricciardo is currently our main rival, which is something to expect because we're fighting with him in the championship at the moment, although we are currently 28 points clear, so we're looking really healthy in the championship, and well, it's looking ideal for us. And this season's been good. We've been on the podium so many times. I only finished off the podium a few times really. We finished well in Hungary. I think we finished in the points as well last season. But I think there was a bit of controversy with myself and my teammate last season. We had a little spin, which in turn ended up helping our teammate retire from the race, which wasn't ideal for us. But here we are on our qualifying lap then for Hungary, the Budapest track. And it's basically Monaco without the barriers. Many people have called this track before. And it is a very tight and twisty track. But there is a few overtaking opportunities on it, more than there is with Monaco. Turn 1 particularly is a good overtaking opportunity around here, and obviously turn 2. Turn 4 can be an overtaking opportunity if you're brave enough, and this part of the track can be overtaking opportunities as well if you can get it right. But more often than not, you end up having to settle for the position that you're in for the time being. But this is our best qualifying lap we're on at the moment, and there was this little moment there in that little chicane, but we couldn't really improve on this either, and we thought that with this lap it would be good enough to see us get quite high up on the grid. You can see we're purple at the moment on Carlos Sainz. Sainz is in the Renault, which is a good car, so we thought, okay, this is ideal. We're going to be able to qualify near the front of the race. We're currently up on Carlos Sainz, so this is going to be a good lap. But we come around the final corner of this lap, and we're going to go past the line to see where it puts us, and it should really put us into provisional pole, and indeed it does. So we're ahead of Sainz, Hamilton. So we're thinking right now this is going to be good enough to put us near the front of the grid as we end the session with this lap, and in fact it puts us 11th, so not ideal. But Red Bull of course locking out the front row again. This is a track that really suits the Red Bulls. Renault locking out the second row, could be a Sauber locking out the third row, and Mercedes looking out the fourth, and Ferrari looking out the fifth, but instead we're down in 11th, so it's not a Noah's Ark top 10 like we've seen in real life as well recently. And McLaren as well. McLaren getting the car in the top 10. We have not seen that at all on this career mode, I don't think. So McLaren starting to improve perhaps, particularly Alonso. Van Dorn tends to be near the back of the grid, even if he's probably got the best car, to be honest. His AI is atrocious on this game. But there you can see the Red Bull looking strong here, which is what they need to do. They need to make up for the disappointment of the recent races and bring back those points that they've lost to Sauber and to myself as well in the Drivers' Championship. Van Dorn, Ricciardo rather, is now 28 points down on us. Verstappen's even further behind than that. So Ricciardo really needs a good result, and he really needs us to have a bad result as well. So he's got this risk at the moment. At the moment, he'd be just 3 points behind us if qualifying stays the same as in the race. And it could be very difficult conditions today, because if you haven't noticed already, it's raining quite heavily. And Ricciardo leading the way from pole position will have a clear view. If he gets a good start, Verstappen, then Nico Hülkenberg and Carlos Sainz, Leclerc, Bottas, Hamilton, Vettel, Raikkonen, Alonso and myself on row 6. So we're in the midfield, so there's plenty of opportunities for us to end up in a collision near the start, with people in front of us not being able to see where we're going. We're not able to see where we're going too much, and the cars behind might not be able to see too much where they're going. So we'll find out how well this goes from the start then in just a second, as the 5 red lights will come on to start the Hungarian Grand Prix. And we're underway now, and we finally get away, and it's a fairly good start, actually, a fairly good launch. But all the AI, they tend to be better going through the gears at the start of the race for some reason. And we go into turn 1, we lose places to Gasly and Grosjean, and when we go into turn 1, we regain those 3 positions on Alonso as well. Make slight contact with Vettel, but Vettel pushes out Raikkonen wide, and we spot the opportunity to get past Raikkonen. Can we now get past Sebastian Vettel into turn 2? Yes, we can. So we're now up to P8, so we gained 3 places at the start then. and we still got our full front wing, so ideal for us. And you can see Bottas now pushing Hamilton out wide. We spot the opportunity to get past both of them. Can we get past Bottas into turn 4? Yes, we can, just about. So we have managed to get past Valtteri Bottas and Lewis Hamilton. So now we got the Noah's Ark grid with both the Red Bulls leading the way from both the Renaults, followed by both the Saubers, and then it looks like both the Mercedes are being followed by both the Ferraris. So ideal start for us. We've made 5 places up the start, and we're up into P6. So this is ideal for the championship situation as well, because Red Bull are at the start and we need to lose as little points as possible to them. They look like they're almost unbeatable this weekend, but we'll see about that in this race as well. See if we can get close enough to those guys, and well, we'll see if we can actually fight this weekend with our teammate as well in this race. We don't know how well we're going to do in the wet normally, as we've seen in the first season, particularly in this career mode, that we struggled so badly in the wet. Although we did have a good wet race in, I think it was quite earlier in the season. Can't pinpoint exactly what race, but I think we did do alright. But here we are on the main straight with Charles Leclerc just ahead of us. We got purple sector 3, so can we get past him into turn 1? We're looking close enough. We brake much later on the brakes, and we're getting past him into turn 1. Is he going to fight back? We're not too keen on letting him back round. After the incident we had in Silverstone, we're saying no thank you, we're going to have that position. And we take hold of P5, and we're going to have a look at the first lap in just a second. We come round turn 2 in P5 after just a couple of laps, and Bottas then almost getting past Leclerc. It looks like he has got past Leclerc on the screen there. He looked like his number went up to P6. So here's the start then of the race, and a very poor start from ourselves as we ended up losing positions to Gasly and Grosjean. But heading into turn 1, we dive down the inside, as no one ever takes the inside route into turn 1 ever on the F1 games. But we get past everyone that we lost positions to, and then we get past Alonso, and then Raikkonen, and now Sebastian Vettel into turn 2. And then you've got both the Mercedes in front of us as well, and you can see Bottas is going to push Hamilton out wide, which we spot the opportunity to see. And Hamilton's not going to get the best launch out of turn 3. We get past him and Bottas. You see both the Renaults fighting each other as well, and it looks like one of the Red Bulls didn't get the best of start. So both the Renaults are almost on the back of the Red Bull there, but it looks like they both ended up having to settle for P3 and P4 as Ricciardo led the way. So now towards the end of lap 2, Leclerc's back in P6, so Bottas obviously didn't make the move stick, and Daniel Ricciardo leading the way still as he sets the fastest lap of the race. We follow in, and again we're fastest in sector 3, so we're looking strong in sector 3 at the moment at this race, and particularly in the wet conditions. It looks like we're actually being able to perform quite well, and we seeming to brake. We're using higher gears going into these corners as well, so when it recommends that we use gear 2, we tend to use gear 3 like we do going through turn 2 just then, and we go up towards the hill where Massa had his accident 10 years ago now, and we can see Carlos Sainz is ahead of us. Can we get close enough to Carlos Sainz? It's going to be even harder to overtake around here as well, but we have proved that already we can overtake. So we have overtaken Leclerc and of course everyone else at the start, but with no DRS it's not going to be easy to make the opportunity to pass Carlos Sainz or Hülkenberg. And well, we got to make sure we have as much damage limitation as possible here, because it looks like the Red Bulls are pulling away off into the distance, and we actually look like we're able to keep up with the Renaults at this point. So if we can get close enough to if we can get past both the Renaults quickly as possible, we may be able to fight with the Red Bulls. But at the moment we're going to have our work cut out, because we've got Sainz and then we've got Hülkenberg to get past. But coming towards the end of this lap, we look like we're close enough to fight Sainz for P4. You can see we're right tucked up behind his gearbox, and then we're going to come around the last corner. As you can see, we're in a higher gear as possible to basically give us as much traction around the last corner, and indeed it's looking to work for us at the moment. And we're getting this nice little tow from Carlos Sainz, and surely going into turn 1 we can get past him if we can get later on the brakes. We're much more braver. We do get past him on the inside, and we're up into P4, and our next target's now Nico Hülkenberg, so ideal for us. We're up into P4. We're getting 12 points at this race, so we're going to lose just 13 points to Ricciardo in this championship. We're just going to put him 15 points now behind us, I think, or might even put him 30, I'm not sure, but we're losing as little points as possible to Daniel Ricciardo, and it's going to be pivotal that we make it well. We don't take too many risks, because we don't know what's coming up later in the season, of course, because we've got the likes of Spa, which could throw up anything, any sort of weather there as well. And then you've got Singapore, where there's incidents going to happen as well. And then you've got the likes of Japan as well, and Mexico and Brazil, which can throw up a surprise, which we're looking forward to seeing whether that will happen at any point in this future. But we've got to focus on the now as well at this point. We need to see if we can still be in a championship fight towards the end of the season, and that would be ideal, because we weren't expecting it at this point in the season. We're set in purple sectors, so are we looking potentially like we can actually win this race if we can set such good sector times? And we're closing in on Nico Hulkenberg now, so it looks like we can potentially compete. We've got a good car around this track in the wet, and we're actually being able to perform like we weren't able to do so in wet races we've seen before in this career mode, as we come across the line and we set the fastest lap of the race in doing so. So we're the fastest man on track at the moment, so perhaps we can fight for this win. But it's all going to depend whether we can get past Nico Hulkenberg and get towards the Red Bulls in front of us as well. So we're going to see if we can get past him as quickly as possible. We're on lap 5, so we've got 14 laps to go now, and we need to get past Hulkenberg as quickly as possible if we want to get towards the Red Bulls. We don't know if the weather's going to change at all either, because it did say on the weather forecast that it was going to turn from heavy rain to light rain at some point. But again, we're going purple in sector 1, and our engineer's saying that we should stick with the tyres that we're on right now, and that's probably a wise decision. He said we can barely see anything, and there's our engineer still talking to us, and there seems to be a problem with Lewis Hamilton as well. He's got a problem with his car and he's slowing down, and indeed there is yellow flags behind us. So Hamilton has a puncture, and I think if I remember rightly, at this track last season he also had a puncture. So Hungary, for whatever reason, has not been a gift towards Hamilton, and again he's having a disappointing day. Mercedes are going off the boil a bit in recent races after getting a lucky result at the start of the season with a Hamilton winning. Mercedes just haven't been able to compete really since, with Renault improving all the time and ourselves improving all the time, and it looks like it's basically a 3-horse race with Renault and Red Bull and Sauber. But Ferrari of course has improved as well. They had such a disappointing start to the season, with Vettel's now been able to compete, Raikkonen not so much. But on lap 6 we're still behind Nico Hulkenberg, not being able to get close enough to potentially fight with him for P3. But this is really crunch time now. If we want to win this race, we need to get past him as quickly as possible. And as you can see, both the Red Bulls are pulling away on a mini map, particularly Daniel Ricciardo. So the more we stay behind Hulkenberg, the less it looks like we're going to be able to win this race. So we need to get past him as quickly as possible, with just 13 laps to go really. And you can see Hulkenberg actually close in a lot on him in turn 4 and turn 5. Are we going to pull off a move that Alonso did around Schumacher in 2006, all those years ago, in those similar conditions, which Jenson Button won from down in 14th on the grid? And if we can win from 11th on the grid, that would be a similar story to what Button achieved in those days. Again, going to the start at lap 7, we still haven't got anywhere near overtaking Nico Hulkenberg yet, so not ideal. And Carlos Sainz is falling away from us, so we're not worried about losing position to Carlos Sainz. But it looks like our best position we can achieve today is going to be 3rd position, and that's all going to depend whether we can get even past Hulkenberg at this stage. And we just haven't been able to get close enough to actually make a move into turn 1 yet. And every lap that goes, the more time we lose, and it just isn't going to look like we're going to get past him anytime possible. And we look like we could almost get past him into this little chicane, but there's yellow flags and he's going really slowly, and it looks like there's a car out of the race actually, and that's Kevin Magnussen, who doesn't like Hulkenberg too much, and probably doesn't like us too much from this career mode, from things that we saw in season 1. So basically robbing both of us of a little fight there, which is probably what he wouldn't have minded too much. But we go onto the curves and we lose a bit of time there, so it looks like we might not even get past Hulkenberg on this lap. And Hulkenberg, who was going so slowly around sector 2, has allowed Sainz to almost close in, and this would be probably a sensible thing to do. If he was struggling with a Sauber trying to close in on him, he'd probably just slow him down and allow his teammate to try and get back past him, and then I'd have to worry about 2 cars. But coming on to lap 8 by the looks of it. We look a little bit closer because he was a little bit out of shape into the last corner. So can we get past him into turn 1? We look down the inside. This is an important move if we can make it stick. We do get past Nico Hülkenberg and we're in front of him now. So the next step is to catch up to Max Verstappen and potentially take away 3 points from him and see if we can take away points from Ricciardo as well. Although it's looking more and more unlikely that's going to happen. You can barely see the Red Bulls down the road now as we got a clear view of the track in front of us for the first time in this race. As you can see, Ricciardo and Verstappen are too far down the road by the looks of it, and it doesn't look like we're going to be able to catch up unless we can stick to that pace we've had. We have set the fastest lap of the race at one point, but it just doesn't look like it's possible, unfortunately. But we're going to come towards the end of this lap and we're actually really struggling. I think we just struggle when there's more cars. Well, we're able to follow the cars in front of us when there's we're just more able to actually stay on the road when there's cars in front of us. But when we're on our own road, when we've got the road to ourselves, we just miss the braking points a bit, and that's probably what's happened here, really. And we're struggling to catch up to the guys in front of us. And well, there you go. It's just not ideal, and we're coming towards the end of lap 8 and hoping to catch up to those guys in front of us, but it's just not looking likely. And Hülkenberg's we're just going to have to hope that we don't lose position to Hülkenberg now. And it looks like we're going to pull away from him slightly though. But of course we're down by quite a bit on our best lap, as you can see there. So not the best situation to be in. But as you can see, we missed turn 1 again, and that wouldn't have happened if we had a car in front of us. So it's a bit disappointing, but here we go. We skipped forward to the end of lap 17, and literally nothing happened in this race between then. So we skipped towards lap 17, and Daniel Ricciardo setting the fastest lap of the race. So it just proves that we weren't able to stick with the Red Bulls today, and we're going to have to settle for third place. We were third. We haven't had to worry about Hülkenberg until now. We started to lose a bit of pace over the last couple of laps. The track started to dry a bit, and these wet tyres aren't really as good as what they used to be, and they're starting to overheat. But Hülkenberg now causing us problems on the last lap. This is the first time he's caused us problems since we overtaken him, so not ideal. As we head on to the last lap, we're hoping to stay on the podium. Can we stay on the podium? We've run a bit wide, and Hülkenberg's smelling an opportunity to perhaps steal the podium back from us on the last lap of the race. As you can see, the Red Bulls are miles away down the road, so we continue to lose more time. We're 11 seconds down on Verstappen, so we were just not able to catch up with these Red Bulls today, unfortunately. But we just got to take third. We are happy with third. Considering we started 11th, we cannot complain too much. Perhaps if it was a better qualifying, we may have been able to compete at the start of the race, and perhaps maybe have gotten a car in front of the Red Bulls, and perhaps maybe have got second or even first in this race. But it's not to be at the end of this race. We're only losing 10 points, so Ricciardo's going to be 18 points behind us, which is still a fairly huge margin. And we've got to take that looking forward into this Belgian Grand Prix, where anything can happen. And we're coming towards the end of this race now, and it doesn't look like Hülkenberg's going to get close enough to overtake us with just a couple corners left in this race. We come round, and Ricciardo wins the race then. And it looks like Verstappen's going to follow him home in second. We're going to follow Verstappen home in third. So it's going to be a decent race for us from 11th to 3rd. And we cross the line now. Hülkenberg's not going to get close enough to us, and we're ideally taking third. And we're happy with that. But it's not the most great result we've had this season. But it's another podium. We can't complain. We're still leading the championship. But Red Bull, of course, with a 1-2, are going to close in significantly on the constructors, and Christian Horner's going to be happy with that. As we look towards the end of this race, we can see Ricciardo has won, and Verstappen was second, and ourselves were third. And so Red Bull getting back to winning ways after a few disappointing results. Are we going to have to watch over our shoulders now for Red Bull even more? But there you go, driver of the day and everything else. Both the Ferraris got into the points, and Alonso eventually got a point as well. Hamilton, with his puncture, finished 14th in the end. It was a very boring race by the looks of it, but I just couldn't really wait for it to end. As you can see, we lead by 18 points. Verstappen's 43 points, so it's almost a 2-horse race now between myself and Ricciardo, unless we both have a load of problems and everyone else catches up. But we're on exactly the same points as Red Bull now. They lead by, for some reason, I'm not sure if they've had more wins or more poles or whatever. But Mercedes are third. Renault are starting to catch up, and Mercedes will be looking over their shoulders still. But that's going to be the end of the episode there. Not the best race so far, but we get races like that every now and then. But I'm sure Spa will throw up something more. But we'll find out what happens in a few days' time as we head to the Spa for the Belgian Grand Prix. Thank you guys, like and subscribe, and I'll see you soon.